Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into something really fascinating. A perfect example of where language and culture just completely intertwine. We're going to look at a question that's totally normal, everyday small talk in English. But in Mandarin, it's loaded with cultural rules. And trust me, getting this right is a huge step towards sounding like a natural speaker and, not making a big social mistake. So let's get into it.
So, what is this mystery question? It's, how old are you? Simple, right? You'd think so, but in the world of Mandarin, how you ask this question, and even if you should ask it at all, is way more complicated than you'd think. It's not just about getting a number. It's about navigating a social situation correctly. Today, we're going to unpack this whole thing, and you'll see how one little question can teach us so much about Chinese culture.
All right, before we even look at the Mandarin words themselves, we have to talk about the cultural foundation here. Because with language, the how you say something is almost always connected to the why of the culture. And for this topic, the why all comes down to the concept of age and what it represents.
And this is the absolute key. In many Chinese-speaking cultures, age isn't just a personal statistic like your height or weight. It's a public marker of your place in the social order. This idea goes way back, drawing from a deep-rooted belief that with age comes wisdom and experience. So respecting your elders isn't just about being polite. It's a fundamental part of the entire social structure.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, first, it's about respect. Knowing someone's age tells you how you should talk to them, what pronouns to use, how formal you should be. Second, it's about hierarchy. At a family gathering or a business meeting, age often helps determine who speaks first and who gets listened to. It's all about maintaining harmony and giving face or mianzi to people. That's why asking someone's age isn't seen as nosy. It's actually a way of figuring out how to show the proper amount of respect. It's a crucial piece of social data.
Okay, so now that we've got that cultural backdrop, let's finally look at the language. We're going to start with the most direct way to ask this question, which, as you're about to see, is also the one that can get you into the most trouble.
Here it is. 你几岁 or 你几岁. Let's break this down. First, we have ni. That's the third tone. It has to dip down and come back up. Ni. That's the informal U. Next up is ji. Another third tone. Now, this is the critical word here. Ji means how many, but, and this is a huge but, it's almost always used when you expect the answer to be a small number, usually less than 10. Keep that in mind, it's the big clue. And finally, sui. Fourth tone, sharp and falling, sui. It means years of age. So literally, you're asking, you, how many, small number of, years old.
Now, you could just memorize that phrase and think you're good to go, but that would be a huge mistake. This is a perfect example of how being grammatically correct isn't the same as being socially appropriate. There's a really strict rule about when you can use ni ji sui, and you absolutely have to know it.
And here is the rule, the big reveal. This phrase is basically just for kids. Remember our little deep dive into the word ji? Because it implies a small number, you are literally, grammatically, suggesting that the person you're talking to is very young. So if you go up to your 50-year-old boss and ask, 你几岁? You're not just being awkward, you're basically talking to them like they're a 5-year-old. It's a major social blunder and causes a serious loss of faith.
This chart really lays it out clearly. See a little kid? Go ahead. 小朋友,你几岁? It's totally fine. It's friendly and natural. But for an elder, a colleague, a superior, anyone you should be showing respect to, you need a different phrase. The go-to respectful way to ask an adult is 您多大? 您多大? Notice the difference? We're using 您, the formal you, and we swapped out 几岁 for 多大, which means something like how great or how big, implying respect for their age. And for a very respected, elderly person, you might even use something super polite like 您高寿, which is like saying, what is your noble age? The phrase you choose says everything about your social awareness.
So what have we really learned here? Yeah, we've dissected one little phrase, but in doing so, we've stumbled upon a golden rule for anyone learning a new language. Let's boil it all down to the main takeaway.
And there it is. This says it all. Learning vocabulary and grammar is just the tip of the iceberg. The huge, invisible part underneath the water is the culture, the context, the social rules. The whole 你几岁 situation is the perfect case study. Its dictionary definition is simple, but its real meaning? That's all about showing respect and keeping social harmony. Real fluency isn't just knowing what words mean, it's understanding what those words do when you say them to another person.
And that brings us to one last thought. If a simple question like, how old are you, has all this cultural baggage, what about other simple phrases you might learn, like, have you eaten, or where are you going? I'll give you a hint. They're not always asking what you think they're asking. So as you keep learning, I want you to stay curious. Treat every new word not just as a piece of data, but as a key that could unlock a much deeper part of the culture. That's all for today's Explainer.